Hi, everybody. Welcome to Champions of Eclypsia. I'm your DM, Kurt. And this is my wonderful cast. We're going to talk more about them than we are about me. This is a brand new setting set in my confangled mind here on Gilding Light. And hopefully you guys all enjoy it. I don't want to spoil too much about everything, as this is very much a game about discovery as we kind of go along. So, but first, before we get into any of that stuff, I want to go around and I want to talk about all these great people who are going to be on this show exploring this wonderful, well, wonderful is not a great word, world that they are about to be a part of and wandering around. So if everybody would be kind enough to go around the horn, and then we'll go around the horn and then tell us who you are and who you'll be playing, starting with the wonderful and mysterious Noir.
Hey, that's me. Hi, everybody. I'm Noir. I use he, they pronouns, just like my character, Pectra, who is a cleric. And that's all you need to know about him for now. He's got his own little agenda. He's got plans, got schemes.
Schemes. I like that. Schemes and agendas. Yeah, that's definitely a good way to put it. I'm so happy to have you on this show. I'm happy to have all of you on this show, to be honest with you. And next up, we have Ravenia playing who?
Greetings and salutations. As you've heard from our wonderful DM, who is not going to kill us on at least session 1. Let's hope, at least. But no. I am playing Maud Whitmore of the Northern Whitmores. We use she and her pronouns, and I am playing a witch, which is a special class in
a witch. Yes.
Champions of Eclypsia.
Yes. One thing, I guess, because Ravania, she is playing one of these particular classes. All the classes that you guys are going to see here and experience throughout this little journey are not subject to just Wizards of the Coast D&D. I have always been a big fan of a lot of the stuff over at Mage Hand Press. And so a lot of those Mage Hand Press classes and items and such from third parties and whatnot are brought into this world because they fit really, really well. So you'll see and encounter things in this story that are not what you would construe as straight D&D material. And now that I've interjected again, on to the wonderful Al.
Right. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Al. Today I will be playing the chromatic dragonborn Flint, the paladin. Both Flint and myself use he, him pronouns. And subclass to be determined. Hopefully we don't die. If we do, I'll probably, come up with another dragonborn.
I can say this much. Unless the dice determine it so, nobody's going to die. It's all about the dice and the fates and what happens with that. Next on our illustrious cast that we have is the great and wonderful Jay. How you doing today, Jay?
Thank you, Kurt. Hi, I'm Jay, also known as Neilfet3 on the socials. I go by he, him pronouns. Today, I am playing Voss Roloff, our veteran Reclaim Regiment tracker. And he is a barbarian human that has a little bit of a survival process that we hopefully won't have to experience soon because, we'll all survive.
I like that optimism. I like that optimism. I like that optimism a lot. That's some solid optimism. And rounding out this wonderful and illustrious cast, we have Joshua. Tell us who you are, Joshua.
Hey, everybody. I'm Joshua, JRAL Tech, Oregon 2 Penguin, out on various socials. I will be playing Ainor Shalane, who is a sage and a bard who cares more about his stories and the books surviving than he does his own life. So he'll be going along to help protect and capture the stories of Eclypsia with the Reclamation Regiment.
Okay. All right. So a few things that you guys should, as viewers, should be aware of. You're going to see things, and you're going to see things, hear things that are happening with a lot of these characters that you may instinctively go, "Wait a minute, they don't do that. That shouldn't be a thing." So one thing to keep in mind, right? All of these characters have what is their parent class, and then they have what's called they have their world template that is laid over them. Each one of these characters, as you'll find out as we go, don't necessarily have fealty to particular groups, but they are a part of certain factions. Several of the factions, the key focus of this particular group being the Reclamation Regiment, has a unique set of skills and abilities that they are taught over time. And so a lot of them will have skills and abilities that won't necessarily sync up with what you see them acting as a class. And that's due to a reflection of their training that they have had. Just so if you're sitting there scratching your head going like, wait a minute, they have proficiency in nature. Why would they have proficiency in nature? That doesn't quantify or what have you. So that being said, here we're going to jump into the world of Eclypsia. The setting of Eclypsia is set 300 years after the Great Calamity. Two great warring houses met on the field of battle. On this field of battle, dark arts were tapped into, and to gain the upper hand on the other. But a great catastrophe happened, causing what is known as the Great Calamity. Eclypsia is orbited by 3 moons. When the black magic was tapped into, it locked these 3 moons in place, casting a massive shadow over the world of Eclypsia. Our heroes are on the continent of Aluth, where twilight can be seen at what would be dawn or dusk. But for the most part, the only light that is really present is that of the glow of the moons and what are known as sunstones, which are amongst various civilizations. Now, because the world is for lack of a better term, a perpetual night, all the ghouls and goblins and things that fear the sun no longer do. And over the course of these 300 years, have created what is known as the Court of Twilight, which is all those ghouls and goblins. The elves, the high elves, the nobleborns have retreated into the dark caves to seek an alliance with their lost cousins, the drow. The dwarves have locked their holds, and no one has seen or heard of them since. Those that still roam the countryside are small farmsteads that generally they don't last too long, for there are many creatures that prey on those who live beyond the walls. Yet, civilization still thrives. Great city-states have emerged out of this darkness to create once again these bastions of hope for many of the peoples that reside all throughout Eclypsia. In this particular continent of Aluth, there are 9 major city-states that exist. Our heroes are from the city-state of Whitebane, a former summer retreat of a long-lost king that has grown into a vast walled city, extending a mile in every direction, nestled in a canyon, protected from the environments. Now, our heroes have been gathered and mustered upon the Reclamation Regiment's first formal parade field. They have all been summoned, they have all been gathered. And here is where they will be seeing each other for the first time. As you all come from your various forms of conveyance, you step onto the flagstone that is there, and you see the giant double R's back to back to one another. You recognize this parade field, and you hear several people moving about. You hear the clip and clop of horses and carriages moving about. As you look around and you see one another, you notice some friends you notice some enemies, and you most certainly notice people you thought were dead. But regardless, you've all been drawn together, and at the trumpet's blare, you all fall in line, remembering those days long ago when you turned 18 and you had to take your proficiencies trainings. You fall in, and a large, bolsterous man stands before you all, and he says, "You've all been gathered and called here today. You've all been selected for a unique set of skills and qualities that you have. Whether it be knowledge of the land, knowledge of the world, or knowledge," as his eyes drift to Maud, "of the other. You have a special task. The standard Reclamation Regiment Battalion 1 and Battalion 2 have already left the walls. You all have a special mission that is brought down by the council that requires you to go to Ferendel. There you will seek out and execute the items listed within your orders." As he says this, a man comes out and produces a small envelope, and he hands it to Rolf. "Lieutenant?"
Yes.
"Lieutenant Rolf, you will be in charge of this expedition, as you are well aware of how and where to go amongst these green cloaks, we'll call them for now. You have been given provisions by the Temple of Life and the Temple of Passage and the Church of Life. They will be your aides to help keep your crew alive, as it were. From there, you hear him clap his hands and see him clap his hands once more, and at that, a handful of horses are brought over, as well as a small two-wheeled cart. At this point, you guys have you're actually taking a couple of moments to really kind of look at one another. And I would like us to go around and kind of give a brief look to these various characters who hold so much in their hands. We'll go ahead and we'll start with our lieutenant, Rolf. Can you give us a brief description of how you look?
So Ralph, his last name is Ralph, and being military, he's generally goes by it. He is a large human, very hairy, bare-chested with a little bit of armor that comes across. He's kind of dark brown hair, beard that's a little bit, but it's very noticeable. It's going gray. Salt and pepper, the hair is going gray. He's been around the block for a little bit. You see some facial tattoos, some tattoos on his bare chest, as well as a few scars that looked like they were that hurt pretty good. The other thing you notice is he has a lot of equipment on him. He just has it on his back. He's carrying a shield, javelin, a great axe, some sort of chain and stone on his belt. But he's kind of a quiet but not quiet individual. So,
okay. Flint, what do you look like?
Flint stands about a little under 6.5 feet tall. His crimson scales are probably the feature that stands out most about him, aside from his kind of dragon-like face. He's donned in kind of traditional chainmail and a cream-colored cloak with the clasps on it too. At his side, kind of rests. You'll kind of see his hands as he's carrying something too, but they'll occasionally go down to his sword arm. A really nice looking sword that belonged to his mother. He's occasionally kind of looking around at the rest of the group, throwing the occasional smile and kind of the nod, but there's also kind of a secret in his eyes, a longing, if you will.
Okay. All right. Joshua, give us a description of yourself.
Einor watches and takes in as much as possible, trying to learn about everybody. His expression is always just kind of staring and obviously taking it in. He has a bandana to kind of to hide his hair and keep it out of the way. He always seems to have some sort of like 5 o'clock shadow. The bandana and he's wearing a doublet that match, that are purple with light blue accents on them. He carries a backpack that looks like it's weighted down. And then across his hip, he has a short sword that doesn't look like it's seen a lot of use. And he also on the side of his backpack, he has a small hand drum, so a wooden frame that has a skin pulled over it. And he just stands at attention, doesn't say a lot, just takes it all in.
Okay. All right. Petra, you see these individuals as you're kind of somewhat standing off to the side slightly. How do you look?
Petra is a massive older gentleman. He's around mid 40s, early 50s. He's wearing scale mail armor that has plenty of dents and wear to it, in a dusty purple cloak. And he's got white hair, clearly freshly shaved. And he's just got this war hammer that hangs to the side of him. Sorry, he's a little younger than that. Sorry, I got him mixed up with another picture that I play. But he's a little younger than that. He's around late 20s, early 30s. He still has the war hammer dangling at his side and the shield on his back. And he just looks generally annoyed.
Annoyed. All right, we can go with that one. All right. And I'm afraid. Maud, please explain to us what this eldritch being that you are looks like.
Oh, you're being too nice, DM. Maud stands about 5'8". Her clothes all have significant wear and tear. The moment she saw Einor and Rolf, the hood went up, and she is kind of turned and looked away. Before then, you could see that her hair was pulled up back into a ponytail. The color is it's like a cross between brown and a auburn. She has a scar that goes across and down one eye, and then 3 scars that are going across her mouth. She didn't stand at attention. In fact, when our leader, if you will, turned to leave, she spat after getting the orders.
Very well. Those of you standing there would obviously no doubt notice this particular action in the glow of the sunstones on this parade field.
All right. One quick question. Do I know that reading these orders immediately to understand them would be appropriate, or do I want to take time based off of how it goes?
You would know and understand that these orders are, the reason that they were presented in such a way is a for your eyes only kind of thing. Normally you're used to previously, before you were reassigned, orders for said regiments when they would leave would be bellowed out, barked out, so everybody heard the exact same thing. However, you do also know that at certain points in times when additional missions or, under the table things were about to be happening, they would be passed off in such a manner.
Okay. So Rolf would stand up, kind of move in front of the group a little bit, getting the horses, checking. He's like, all right. Some of you, I presume, have been outside the wall. Who has not been outside the wall yet?
That would probably be all of you except for Maud.
I can tell you much from outside the wall, but I would be lying if I'd said that I've been physically there myself.
One thing you're going to start noticing, Ralph always starts off with a sigh or kind of a gruntle thing. It's his So he's just kind of like, all right, green cloaks, this is what we're going to do. I'm your tracker. I know where we're going. I need you to follow me. If I say stop, you need to stop. Can you handle that?
Yes.
So those,
yes, sir.
It's nice to see the church and the temple are here with us today, I guess. For those of you who have not been outside the wall, I'm not going to paint the pretty picture for you because it's not. You're going to see things you've never been thought imaginable, and you're going to basically quake in your boots. But hopefully you're not going to quake too hard because we got a mission. So follow my lead and you should survive. I'll do my best to keep you all together.
Maud, are you intentionally trying to hide your face, or are you just kind of passively doing it?
It's intentional. But there's definitely, as soon as he goes into the whole, I'm going to try and keep you alive, there is a little bit of a chuckle that comes from that.
Rolf, how do you react to this?
I kind of ignoring it in a way because it's sitting there. He doesn't want to deal with it. He just does not want to deal with it yet. He realizes that once they're on the road, he's gonna have to deal and gonna have to confront his past. So yeah, but until we get on the road, he's all, this is it, boom, 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 and we're going. So
okay,
which is one of the things you said. We have a cart and horses, correct?
Yes. So there is one cart. The cart is, so basically when you look at your orders, right? When you go through and you crack the envelope and look at your orders, you see what your orders are. Your orders are to go to Outpost Rotwood, which is on the edge of the Black Forest. From there, you will receive further instructions from Captain Ferris. But you also remember that as part of going out to these outposts, it is not uncommon for a supply wagon to be joining whatever mission it is because it's a safety in numbers thing. Mm-hmm. So the wagon that's been brought is just that. It is a supply wagon. It has 2 other members from the Reclamation Regiment that are manning it, right? And then you have the 5 other horses that have been brought around for the lot of you to be able to ride.
Okay, so we don't have to man the cart wagon itself. It being no. Okay, all right. Yeah, so Roth would just get ready, get on the horse, and it's like, ready?
No questions.
Question. No, if you're going to speak up, I need a little bit of an answer. Ready? Who's not?
And Flint just kind of steps forward and says, I'm ready.
Einor steps forward and nods and says, let's go. We can talk on the way. And goes to hop on the horses.
Maud doesn't respond. She's just getting up and on the horse.
Petra's doing the same.
Yeah,
All right.
someone get on this horse.
All right. We're off to the Rotwood, right?
Yep, Rotwood, Outpost Rotwood.
Outpost Rotwood. So let's head out.
So
and proceed to lead them.
Okay, so as you mount up, right? You mount up and you guys start to make your way towards the gate. This massive double door gate made of stone is pulled by these titanic looking chains that go into two openings on the ground. As you approach them, you come to a stop. You wave up to the guard that is up on the tower. They are so far up that they are looking down on you with a spyglass. They acknowledge it, and then you start to hear the chains clank, 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 clank as they go from slack to taut. And as the doors crack open, this gust of wind blows through and past you all, slightly spooking the horses. And there's a scent on the air, a scent of rot, a scent of damp.
Mm-hmm.
As the doors swing open and you look out into what is darkness, the glow of the sunstones stop just beyond this gargantuan opening. There is no light out here, with the exception of the glow of the moons. Ralph, I need you to give me a quick history check, if you wouldn't mind.
All righty. My best suit, but yep, we're starting off strong. 3.
Okay. Maud, would you give me a history check, please?
Sure, DM. That is a 9.
Wow, we are starting off strong. Well, one thing that both of you would definitely remember is that Rotwood was the last place that you two actually saw each other alive.
Of course.
So, you guys spur your horses on, and then you start to ride out with 3 members of the Reclamation Regiment, 1 noble-esque paladin, and a cleric, slightly trailing behind and observing one another. As you do, you start to remember things that transpired from earlier within the day. Flint, you're reminded of a conversation that you had with the high priest within your order. Those words begin to ring in your ears. Petra looks out, wondering what is it that we are going to be facing, and who, if any, are going to be coming back alive. Maud, you hear in the back of your mind a slow nagging of, are we going to get even? I think we should get even. Einor, you thought you'd see so much more. But in reality, it's quite difficult. Almost instinctively, as you ride out, you fall back on your training, and you pull out your goggles, and you slide your goggles on for those that need it. before everybody screams dark vision. You start and begin your ride. Now, at this particular point, I need who is going to be I need you to elect, whether it can be Rolf if you wish it to be, who is going to be the roller for the journey to get from Whitebane to Outpost Rotwood.
Ralph is the survivalist and tracker. So he is an expertise in survival, just throwing it out there. So that's his job when he was there. But if someone would like to, I'm open.
I know he spent enough time with Rolf in basic and prep, and he's staying behind, following in suit. He does pull out a book and a piece of paper and start jotting stuff down and comparing it to the book of people who've been outside the wall before. But he follows Roth and is making descriptive notes.
Okay.
Petra has absolutely no interest in leading this. He's far too busy watching the rest of his companions and taking notes.
Okay, fair enough. All right, Rolf, I need you to make me the first in a series of survival checks.
All right, let's see if my die are going to be good to me today. Hey, look at that. 22.
22. All right. So even though some things are overgrown a little bit, most of the visual markers that you remember from the trips out this way are still there, and you follow them along. After about 3-4 hours of slow and steady riding, you come to a marker stone and begin to start to make the turn. As you begin to make the turn, I need everybody to give me perception checks. For our two, I'll make the two for the lovely. No, they don't see nothing.
A total of 12.
12. All right.
14.
14. Okay.
19.
Okay. All right.
It appears Chat was correct in getting those low die rolls out. That's a nat 20 for a 25.
Ah, very well. Okay. So anybody who rolled a 14 or above is going to notice shapes off in the distance, like not super far away, but enough so that they appear small. You see 6 or 7 of them. They almost seem to be paralleling your movements as you're riding with the horses.
Anyone else see that?
I'm gonna try to just identify them from the shapes and compare them to descriptions that I've read.
Okay. Make a nature check.
Okay. 14.
14. Approximate size from what you can make out, and the numbers indicate that this could be some sort of pack animal, perhaps. You're not quite close enough to really make it out, but the movements that it's exhibiting you've read about before in several zoology books, to like, oh, this is kind of how pack animals move around.
Yeah, looks like quadruped pack animals, wolves maybe.
They don't seem to be coming near you just yet, but more along the lines of just shadowing and following and see, as to where it is that you're going. Does anybody else have anything else that they wish to add at this particular point in time?
So I'm seeing everybody react to this, even though I didn't see it myself, correct?
Correct. You sure are. Like it's a Maud spoke up, right? And was like, did you see that? And then like several other members kind of like looked in a direction, and you kind of notice that they're looking off to one of those directions.
More important than what they're looking at, Petra's kind of trying to gauge each one of their reactions. Like, do they seem afraid? Or like,
okay,
like he just kind of wants to see which one of them is the most antsy to get into this fight.
Okay. All right. So I guess with that, realistically, your passive perception is high enough. So everybody, what is your reaction? How do you react?
I mean, yeah, I guess kind of seeing everyone react. Flint asks, "What's the problem? What's going on? Like, what are you seeing?"
Einor is taking notes on the book and the paper he has in front of him. He seems more intrigued at capturing, like he's just writing down everything that he sees, and seems to be flipping a couple of pages in the book that he has, and just like doesn't seem antsy about a fight or an engagement at any stretch, just more of a study.
So he's, would you say, very much focused on his writing?
Very focused. Yeah. Focused on the writing and looking and back and forth.
Okay. All right. Rolf, how would you say that you're reacting to this particular situation?
So Ralph is actually he notices it. He realizes it. He's not worried yet because they're not close enough. Once he notices that they get closer, that's when he's going to be more like, okay, we need to be cautious. And he will mention to everyone, he's like, yeah, they're out there. Just keep an eye out. They won't harm us. If they get closer, we'll take care of them.
Maud, how do you react?
Maud doesn't care. Maud is sitting there, just waiting. She makes a slight comment. They're testing for weakness. I don't know. Are you weak?
Well, Petra, there you go. That's the vibe you're getting right now.
Just kind of smiling, especially when he kind of focuses on Maud a little bit, like, it just goes back to trying to be unperceived.
As you're focused on Maud, right? Memories start to drift back into your mind, where you've seen her before, where you know her before. Though her life was allowed to continue, she was the one who both the Church of Passage and the Temple of Life had come to see when she was in something of a fugue state. And she was their first known reported case of an actual possession. Now, protected by the state, she was allowed, and after several tests and inquiries, she was allowed to continue about her life as she exhibited no other, shall we say, deviant behavior that would cause them any sort of suspicion. But the church has kept a very close eye on her because following those beliefs, whatever possessed her must be a wayward soul, and that wayward soul must find its way elsewhere. So, that being said, her coldness, for lack of a better term, just stirs that memory in your mind of how animated, we'll say, she was the last time that you saw her. Now, you do recognize her, but you've given no indication yet that she recognizes you.
Yeah, an early assignment in his career.
Yeah.
I think the eyes might linger just a second longer, but for the most part, it's trying not to give anything away.
Okay.
Just waiting.
As you continue on down the path, the night, as it were, feels ever encroaching. Distant sounds of animals moving around. You hear twigs snap. You hear leaves rustle. Faint winds blow. And as you continue on, you come up to a small lake. But you notice that the waters don't move. They're still. And as your senses are bombarded with that knowledge of that stagnant water, that water that has not ebbed and flowed. And it smells almost like death. Water, the source of all life, has now become the center of death in this world. Voss, you recognize this as the next marker point as along the journey, indicating that you still have about 4 hours ride before you're going to reach Outpost Rotwood.
Okay.
As you continue along the path, what would you all like to do? You have this interesting collection of characters that have been brought together and seamlessly left without cause, without pause, and they're simply following orders. None of you, for the most part, knows one another. Some of you recognize each other, some of you don't recognize each other. But there are definitely outliers within this small little group. What do you wish to do?
Over the course of after this marker, Roth would have moved back a little bit and kind of rode right up next to Maud and kind of gotten close to her. And it's like, are you good, Maud?
As good as I can be, old man.
It's been a while.
She kind of turns and smirks, and you kind of see the face fully with all the scars and a little bit of age. Because you remember Maud was bright and shiny at one point.
Yep.
I got better. And she turns and looks back.
Well, it's good that sounds like you haven't lost your training.
Kept things going.
It's good to see you, though. Glad you've recovered.
Me too. I'm glad you're still kicking.
For the most part. They try to retire me.
They wouldn't let you, though. Or I should say you wouldn't let you.
That's another tale. I know I have to ask this. Do I need to be concerned, or is everything good?
Everything's good. But it varies from moment to moment. I am curious about what good actually is. Because there was nothing good in that city.
True. Just making sure that you can be counted on.
I said I got better, didn't I?
True. All right. Just had to check.
And there's a moment where she just kind of puts her hand on his shoulder. But it's that quick tap, release.
And Roth then just kind of kicks up a little bit and gallops ahead a little bit. And what everyone doesn't see, because he's in the front, is there is a small tear in his eye from the strong barbarian that's realizing that his past is in front of him or behind him right now, but with him. And something for later. And he just then focuses on everything else.
That image, as you pull ahead, of that light, that glow surrounding Maud's body, and you convinced she was dead, enters your mind as you begin to pull forward.
Just FYI, when he pulled forward and got out of range, Maud rolled her eyes.
We're going to kill him, right? No, we're not going to kill him.
Not that one. Little whisper.
Not that one. Not that one. Then who? Listen, if you don't want me sticking around, that's all fine and well. But you need to find me another appropriate body. As the ride continues on, Flint, this world that you are encountering now is very overwhelming almost in its bleakness. You had been trained, you had been brought up through the schools of the Paladin. You had seen and been told stories and tales of what's outside the wall. However, now you're seeing it for the first time. And the stories both over-exaggerate and at the same time don't live up to the things that you believed you would see outside these walls. There is a stillness to everything, as if time progresses but also stands still while you are riding along this trail.
Indeed, it does. And Flint is feeling a little bit frustrated.
Oh,
because this is much information to take in, and this is the first time he's really been alone. You know, in a sense that he's in a new world, and there's also these complete strangers around him, and he feels a bit isolated. The thing that's in the back of his mind is his orders and his mission and his goals. And so he keeps going back to that for a moment as he, watches everyone else. And he knows he shouldn't leave, and he knows he would be killed, but there's a part of him that wants to turn back. There's a part of him that wants to go off another trail. And he even turns to Rolf for a moment, and like Rolf can't see him, he just kind of glares at him a little bit. Going back to the beginning where Rolf is in charge of the expedition and who's ready, and Flint's just kind of thinking, you're not my commanding officer. Who am I to listen to you, and yes, you're tracking. You're the tracker for this mission, but you're not. You're not the person I have to listen to. And then Flint just kind of shakes his head for a moment, tries to recenter himself, maybe take his mind off things as he's observing, possibly looking for signs of maybe anything left on the ground, perhaps what somebody would see as trash could be a lost artifact.
This is true. Einor, everything you've read about in books is now before you. And while your reasoning for being on this particular squad mission may be slightly, we'll just go with not good, you still find yourself seeing for once in the flesh what you have only read about in the libraries. Now you're a scholar, you're a man of knowledge, and here you find yourself out amongst the things that go bump in the night, quite literally. What's Einor feeling? What's going through his mind at this particular time?
At first, so he starts out overwhelmed and just looking around and trying to write everything down. And once he starts to run out of synonyms for bleak and desolate and gray, he starts to realize, oh, right, I'm with a group. Like this group seems like the type of group I would have been sent out with. And he pulls up to Roth as he starts to kind of like come to and realize like this is reality and not books. And as he kind of gets up a little bit, he says, Roth, what do we know about our companions? Do we even know names? Like he says it just like he's trying to be quiet, but he's not being very good at being quiet. So everybody can hear that he's asking who everybody is to Roth, and seems to be paying that sort of like deference.
Well, I can't say I do. I guess when we get to the outpost, we can make it better introductions. Because at that point, we don't know exactly if we're going to be sticking together.
He nods and says, I think I'm gonna go ahead and figure some of this out. It's a long journey for not waiting. And he doesn't wait for much of a response. He just falls back and glances back and falls back near Flint. And he still has like the book in one hand and the reins in the other, and says, looks over at Flint and goes, the name's Einor. So what's your story? Tell who I seem to recognize you from the desolate Pegasus, perhaps.
Flint's kind of taken back for a moment. I'm Flint. The desolate Pegasus. Yes, my adoptive parents work there. They are. You've probably seen them around waiting tables. Adopted too. I was left there. My mother was a paladin like myself, and so wanted to follow into her footsteps. And he's kind of stumbling a little bit.
Yep.
He's like, "How do I respond?" But you, that what book is that?
Oh, this one is a collection of stories from the reclamation agents who have returned from the other side of the wall. I'm just trying to compare the stories. Whenever you tell stories, you want to make sure that they're great and entertaining, which means that there can be exaggerated or leave details out. And I'm trying to fill in the gaps or adjust accordingly for what's been talked about. I'm finding that in reality, you can't explain some things. You can't explain some of these things or the feels and the smells without experiencing it.
No, that is something that my trainers really harped on me back at the church, and experience is good. It's been interesting out here so far. Nothing quite like I expected it.
Well, it is good to meet you, and good. Your parents are good, kind people. So looking forward to telling this story of us together.
Likewise, it's good to meet you as well. Hopefully we can fill many pages.
And Ainor just kind of like looks back and sees Maud still trying to like not necessarily being the most social person, and Petra in the far back, and kind of decides I can keep writing in my book, and jogs his horse up a little bit more behind Roth, and then goes back to writing things down.
So what you're saying is you look back, see Maud glaring, and then you went, nah, maybe not.
Yeah. I make a couple of notes as I'm looking back, not hiding it at all, and just like, okay, and moving forward.
The irony is I was just going to say that he turns to look, and yeah, she's just right there resting bee face.
Yeah, he would have met with the ice cold glare of Petra and then just the smallest nod of approval when he goes, yeah, maybe not.
just no. All right. So after another jaunt of riding, Rolf, I need you to make me another survival check, please.
All right. Oh, 24.
Why'd you say ooh like that's bad?
Because the dice was rolling and I thought I saw a 7 and then it changed to a 17. And I'm like,
oh, well, okay, fine. Okay,
So-
that's fair. That's fair. So as you're going along, in the distance, you all start to see a faint glow. And the glow begins to get a little bit larger and a little bit larger. Rolf, you recognize this as the outpost Rottenwood. Now, as you are approaching this, you see the glow. And what's interesting is as that glow begins to grow, you see a rising amount of solid black that seems to be behind the glow. There's a wall of trees signaling the Black Forest. After another 30 minutes or so, you come up to the gate, this wooden fence, this wooden gate, and the torches are burning, but you don't hear anything.
Roth gets off his horse and just starts scanning the wall
Mm-hmm.
and gate.
There is nobody on the wall.
Takes his hand axe out, turns it out, knocks on the door.
There's no answer. You guys, the rest of you all see this. You see Ralph dismount and approach the gate, acting somewhat peculiar as he goes and knocks on the gate. The gate doors don't open. You all notice the fact that there is nobody sitting on the wall.
Can I make a perception check to see if there's any sort of signs of an attack, any sort of signs of violence?
You sure can.
Okay, now we're in the money. That's a dirty 20.
All right. So on a dirty 20, you notice as you're looking around, you don't see blood anywhere. But what you do see, oddly enough, is that the small flowers are starting to grow and bud out of the wooden fence posts.
I'm going to get off of my horse and call out to Ralph. There's been death here.
Get ready. Is the door secured that he can't? Can you try to push open the gate?
You can make a strength check.
Or pull. Not sure if it's a push or pull.
Let's find out.
Do I get no proficiency, just strength, correct?
Yeah. No, you can add your proficiency bonus to it.
Wow. That's going to be a dirty 20.
All right.
Thank you, dice. Wow.
All right. Second dirty 20 of the night.
Yes.
I like them dirty.
I like
you go and you go and you start to push on the gate, and you get it open just enough to where you can see in.
Mm-hmm.
And as you see in, right, it looks as almost on the back side of the door of this, wooden plank door, whatnot, a branch has grown out of the backside and is impaling one of the regiment members on the backside of the door.
Roth immediately calls out, to arms, up here now.
I make my way over.
I hop off the horse, pull a longbow off of it, and head up.
How much more would it take to open this door?
Not much. It's think of it like in the concept of like it's just that it's heavy. Okay. So like what normally there would be probably 6 men who would pull at the chains to open the door. You're just a single person doing it. It's that whole concept of like push starting your car, right? It takes that initial effort to really get it moving, but once it's moving, you know what I'm saying, the gravity will start to pull it, and it's just you were getting that push and then stopped because of what you saw.
More or less, he's asking for help to get this door open so that we can get in.
I would like to walk by and to help assist.
Okay.
I'll put the bow on the side and kind of start just tapping on the drum on the back, and just start reminding Roth of the times that the reclamation agents have used strength to overcome things, granting bardic inspiration to assist.
Okay.
Bod's not helping. Bod's standing back next to Ainor, and the drumming is just eye roll.
Is this an athletics check?
It should just be a strength check. That's all.
Okay, then that is a 21.
All right. So as you both put your shoulders into it and push the door open, you are immediately greeted with both the smell of, rotting bodies, but also the fragrant smell of flowers. As you make your way in and push through, the supply cart coming up, asking what's going, the two regiment members on the cart asking what's going on. They kind of like bring the other horses back and kind of tie them off to the cart as well. And they dismount and join you as well. As you enter, you smell and are bombarded with this both smell of death and life. As you begin looking around, you see that something happened here. Roots have been shot out of the ground to impale a handful of these regiment members. And then you see other ones on the ground, their skin almost turning to bark as they're laying on the ground dead. I need everybody to make a perception check.
That's going to be a 15.
Okay.
Wait, with my 6, I'm very obviously starting to flip through the book, staring at the flowers, and am not aware of anything else, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on.
Okay.
Dirty 20 storyteller.
Dirty 20. Ooh, nani.
17.
17. Okay. Al, have you got legs? Yeah, you got legs? I think you're muted. Now you're definitely muted.
Mm-hmm. We got the good old double mute going.
Got the double mute going. Nope. Regardless, you guys high enough, you spot a person bolting into into a door off to the right. So backtrack a little bit. The area in which you see, right, is approximately the size of a football field. Within this, you see several small huts, what appears to be like a small barracks room that's there. And then you see what appears to be kind of like a little office-looking building, and then a storehouse that's inside this area. Scattered about, you see half a dozen bodies, various forms of I want to say petrification, but only it's wood, it's bark and trees, and those types of things that are growing off of them. Most of these bodies have stab or impalements that have happened on them. The individual you saw popped his head out and then popped his head back in and then slammed the door, and you guys can see the faint flicker and shadow of him running. What do you do?
Do I find anything in the books about the flowers and the bark and all that while I'm missing everything that you just described?
No, not particularly.
This individual is running away from us full speed, correct?
It's more like they opened the door, saw people, and then immediately slammed the door shut, kind of deal, as they bolt back into the room.
I would like to open that door.
You just gonna make your way across?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So it'll follow.
And then I would like to bring the door down with my hammer.
You would like to bring the door down with your hammer? All right. Yes. That is a way to make an entrance.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you kind of, I don't want to say run, but you get that slight jog as you're moving over, and then you grip your hammer with both hands and it slams into that door, knocking it down. And then inside you find a man who has bloodshot eyes, a slightly grown beard, graying hair, in a green and black cloak. He definitely looks to be of the regiment himself, right? And he's shakily holding a short sword out at you, screaming at you.
I'm prepared for what happens should you find yourself victorious with that weapon. Are you prepared for what should happen if I am victorious with mine?
Get away, get away. You're just going to bring it back. You're going to bring it back. That's all that you're going to do. You're going to bring it back. Get away. Go back to Whitebane. Whatever you do, just don't stay here. We've got to go. It'll kill all of you, is what you hear. Voth, you recognize this voice. You recognize this voice as Captain Therius. While you haven't been able to actually see into the room itself, because Petra's kind of blocking it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You recognize that voice.
Petra, wait. And I try to make my way in, like putting my hand on Petra's shoulder to kind of allow me to enter the room.
Just takes a side step.
Okay. As he comes in. Captain, is that you?
Rolf?
In the flesh. What's happened?
He just looks at you and is like, now we're certainly going to die.
Well, thanks for the confidence. What the hell happened here? What's coming back?
The thing that lives in the Black Forest. That gargantuan creature that and as you hear him say those words, that gargantuan creature, you hear what sounds like if you could hear a cacophony of elks, right? Bellowing. That is what you would hear.
Well, shnikes.
As he goes, oh no, you've brought it back. You've brought it back. And as he says that, you hear him yell out what appears to be some sort of an incantation of sorts, right? And all of the sunstones that were there in the outpost suddenly go dim and then out.
Roth, you said this man is a captain, did you not?
He's the captain of the outpost. Something's coming. Clearly an attack.
And you hear him he just goes, you just hearing that hushed, that tone that you get when you're at the Walmart with your kid and you're like, be quiet, you're making too much noise, kind of thing, right? Like that kind of a tone that you kind of get, right? When someone's being really loud and obnoxious, but you're not trying to yell at them, but you are trying to yell at them, but in that whispered tone, right? He's like, be quiet, don't make a sound.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say a quick thaumaturgy to turn the eyes black. And I'm just going to stare down the captain and go, find your courage, or I will give you something to truly fear.
Ralph steps. Oh, sorry. When you're done.
Oh, he just stares at Petra, literally not moving, like he has been locked in fear. Right, Rolf. One thing that you know about this particular person is Therius was known as the fearless captain. There was no obstacle that he could not overcome. That is why he was designated as the garrison commander of this particular outpost, because it sits next to the Black Wood.
Mm-hmm.
And he very much, seeing him in this state is unsettling.
Yeah. And that's why Roth kind of steps out. And did the other three shut the gate yet?
The other two that were outside are near the gate.
Okay. So is everyone, once they're in, everyone's, they got the cart in, Roth was like, close the gate, get in here now, everyone on the double.
As they go to close the gate, right, you hear thud, 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 right? You're hearing these large footsteps being made. You're hearing not twigs snapping, you're hearing logs snapping beyond the walls in the same manner that you would hear a twig snap under your own foot.
Mm-hmm.
I need everybody to make a perception check.
22.
22. All right.
15.
Now we're cooking with gas. That's 19, and I get plus 5 to perception, so 24.
All right.
15.
Okay.
Sticking with tradition, dirty 20.
Holy crap, man. All right. Whatever. Hey, he's got some good stats when it comes to this kind of thing. So, I mean, put him in a social situation, he's probably screwed.
Yeah. All he does is he can perceive and he can track. And hit things.
So as you all start to look in the direction of this sound, because the light has dimmed down and the light is extinct, like it's barely a faint glow at this point. It's at the last hour of trick-or-treating, like your glow stick is just enough to still light up, but not enough, right? You see this form emerging from the wood. This quadruped creature that stands at its forward shoulder. Yeah, at its forward shoulder. 60 feet tall. It looks to have the body of an elk, perhaps. But up its neck, it forms into some sort of double-jawed type creature with large horns extending out of either side and glowing yellow eyes.
All right.
From these yellow eyes, you see two hands extend down and 2 feet hanging down.
All right. So that is worth being afraid of.
It lets out this weird, like, bellowing noise as if it's calling to something. One of the other reclamation regiments on the far side of the compound you can see him get spooked, and he bolts. And the creature's, what you can only assume is its head, rears to look at it. And as you do, you hear this sound of what you only know as wood bending, and a sickening meat being cut sound, a faint scream, And then the beast continues walking. As it's looking around, its head drops down, and where its feet where its head would kind of be touch the ground, and you see flowers begin to bloom. What do you guys do?
Is it still outside the outpost, or is it inside the outpost?
No, like it stepped over the wall into the compound, right? Like you would step over a baby gate.
Got it. How
Lynn.
far away are we?
40 feet at most.
Once it leaves, we should look for survivors. I mean, clearly not the man who just died, but maybe there's others.
Do you say this out loud?
Flit whispers it.
Okay. All right. I need you to make me a stealth check.
Frick.
You won't have armor disadvantage for this if you're wearing heavy armor. You're going to make a base stealth check on this one because you're just trying to muffle your voice.
17.
17? Okay.
Yes.
As you're saying these things, you kind of sideways glance, and it looks as if its head turned, like its feet come up off the ground from its head area. Look in your direction, back and forth, as if searching, and then go back to what it's doing.
Does it appear that something is on this creature, like something is riding it?
Mm-mm. No, the best way that I can describe it is that it looks as though if you were to take an enlarged elk, right? That kind of a body. But instead of its long snout that you would see for like an elk's face, right? You see a humanoid form in place of that head. And draping fur that comes down over the front of it. So all you see is the arms on either side and and like the humanoid legs out of the bottom, and then the glowing yellow eyes underneath it.
I would like to cast thaumaturgy to create the sounds of ominous whispering 30 feet away from us, preferably around a corner.
Okay. Go ahead and cast. I don't know. Do you have a casting, or is it just it happens? Is it a cantrip?
It's a cantrip.
It's a cantrip. All right. So you make this sound, right? When you do, right, it lifts its head up off the ground, like lifts its head up and begins looking, right? And you hear a series of clicking noises, right? And then you hear that same type noise emanating from the creature, and it gallops over the fence and away towards the sound of which you had just made.
I believe one of my compatriots had a bow. That was correct. I'm going to give you the quiet motion, and then I'm going to tap one of your arrowheads and cast light on it. And I'm just going to aim in the opposite direction of where I put the whispers.
Ainor immediately knocks it, spins, takes to a knee, firing up at an angle over the wall, and will fire in the direction that Petra pointed.
Okay. You fire it off, right? And then you begin to hear. Actually, you know what? Give me a strength check real quick. We're going to see how far you knock this arrow off.
I believe in you.
One of us does.
Say that again.
So what's a 4? A 4 is a long way, right?
Okay.
Strength is not. Ainor is not muscular.
What
He's
is the
very
range? What is the range of your bow?
150 to 600. 150 base, 600 extreme.
Okay. We'll say you got it 150 feet. Okay. At that, you hear the creature charging again back, right? It easily hurdles the fence once. It goes boom, like it lands inside the compound for a minute, right? And then it takes off again over. In that same instance that it lands and takes off, flowers begin to slowly bloom. Then it takes off and you can hear it as it goes off into the woods.
I'm going to try to duck into a house. Like Ainor is going to try to duck out of the open.
No, so it jumps in and then immediately jumps out the other side. Like it literally hurdled the fence, jumped in, jumped out, hurdled the fence, hurdled the other wall, for lack of a better term, and continued off into the forest.
I'd like to try something stupid.
All right, sure.
Now that it's hopped out and back into the woods, I'd like to sneak out and try and grab one of these flowers and then sneak back to the group.
Right with you, Petra.
Yeah, actually,
it's there. Like running by grabbing a flower.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah.
All right. So, as you guys go to leave, and you guys go and start to grab some of these flowers, right? As you grab the flowers, they sting. Not enough to hurt you, but definitely they sting a little bit. And as you pull your hand away, you notice little pinpricks, right? Like you're testing your blood sugar, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as that flower pinpricked it, it blooms larger.
Okay.
It's as if the bud swells.
I would like to. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm going to take a small knife and then a hook from my thieves' tool set and just snip one into a cloth, like take off the bandana, snip it into the cloth, and then throw it, like just put it into my backpack for study later.
Yeah.
I would like to take my dagger out and cut my hand and bleed on the flower.
The flower grows and grows, and another flower sprouts from it, and another flower sprouts from it. And before too much longer, this flower starts to grow a vine out from it, and another vine out from it. And they start to dig into the ground. These vines start to seek out wherever there is spilled blood. The Reclamation Regiment member that was recently killed, the vines seek out and puncture into what remains of his corpse. And as they do, more of the flowers along the vine start to bloom and grow.
I'm gonna put the flower on the corpse and watch.
On the corpse itself, it immediately grows roots into it, into what was left of the body now.
Okay. As this is going on, Flint's gonna start probably looking for survivors, anybody. We won't call out, but he'll, investigation, I guess, if you will. Ooh, dirty 20.
All right. So as you're looking around, you don't actually find any other survivors other than Captain Therius.
Okay.
After a short period of time, roughly 10, 15 minutes, right, he recites an incantation again, and the lights come to a dull glow so everybody can kind of see. As you see, he's looking around and he's like, that's That's what did this.
The flowers are the big creature.
The big creature. The flowers are just some sort of side effect of what it does, where it goes.
And did this thing attack before, or do you know where it came from?
Yeah, we found out where it came from. That's
I kind of holds his hand out like, and
Where?
That's what the druids summoned.
The druids.
Which druids?
You mean the druids that don't exist anymore?
He just
That
looks at
haven't
you.
exist for 300 years?
That's the protector of the Black Forest.
What did you do to piss off the druids this time?
this time. What kind of like
So Einor, tips and tricks for surviving in the wild. Give me a sweet percentile die.
68.
Okay. All right. Go ahead and make a history or arcana check.
I'll make that history check for 18 before any other knowledge bonuses.
Okay. All right. So you remember reading in the libraries about what had happened to the druids. That shortly after the Great Calamity, the Great Calamity, the druids thought that they could beat this back using the power of nature. Because after all, what are the moons moving if not the forces of nature? And so they commenced in a very dark ritual, thinking to beat fire with fire, when what they had summoned was all of the hate and malice that resides within all living things of the forest, and thus created the protector of the Black Forest. At a cost to themselves, the druids transformed into these creatures, these guardians, as they're called. They do not stray too far from the Black Forest, though it is believed that that is what they all became.
I'd like to make a medicine check to see exactly what this plant is doing to the body.
Okay. Go ahead and make it.
Yeah. There we go. Now we're cooking. That is a 19.
19. So what you're seeing is the flowers are slowly building something of a root system inside the corpse. And you're also noticing that parts of its skin are becoming like barkish.
Does it appear to be returning to life as a different entity?
Slowly.
I take out the warhammer and bash this thing's skull.
Okay. So you guys see Petra pull up his warhammer and smash the skull of this corpse. What do you do?
What was the reason for that?
Yeah. That's one way to get your aggressions out, I guess.
It's not aggression. It was a perversion of the natural order of things. If you see a corpse with flowers on them, destroy the corpse.
The creature that's leaving the flowers, it is the hate, and I kind of retell what you said. It is the hate that the druids summoned, that there's several of these types of protectors out there that are filled with hate, that are filled with malice, and every bad thing that we've felt on this planet and across under the moons. I look over and I'm like, is it worth, and I look at Petra just like, is it worth studying these things? Because that hate and malice is that perversion that you're mentioning, I believe.
I believe we are able to draw the conclusion for what they intend to do to the bodies of these soldiers. There's no point in studying further. We don't have the minds or the capability of drawing any more than I already have. But what I would have us point our attention to is how the Guardian was brought here in the first place, and how every single soldier here is dead, save the captain.
Wouldn't be the first time this outpost had seen such devastation.
True.
Is it cyclical? Does it occur on a recurring basis? And I pull out a book and I go, how often does this outpost get attacked? And as I look at Maud looking for an answer, like there's this moment of like realization looking across.
Yeah, Petra is glaring daggers at the captain now.
Flint's curious as well because he turns to Rolf and he says, what did you mean when you said, what did you do to piss off the druids this time?
The Calamity, the druids, I have no doubt that they did something to they always piss someone off. Captain.
What?
How did this start? Why did it come here? What did you do to bring it here?
It happened 4 days ago. Nothing. The supplies were running low, and we had no word yet as to whether or not when the next supply shipment was going to be. And so I sent a couple of men to go hunt, to go find us food, and they did. They brought back this glorious stag.
Wait.
And we feasted for days.
Stag.
You disrupted nature, and the protector is doing exactly what it was told to do by the druids, unfortunately, before they all passed. It is protecting.
That's not quite what I'm interested in, Captain. I want to know why you are alive.
Why am I?
I'm curious about that myself.
I hid.
I thought captains were supposed to lead by example.
You didn't see what it was doing. You didn't see what it does to them. Those who weren't compost for these corpse flowers began turning into these things. Their skin turning to bark, their hair to twigs, their eyes dead but still human. They're just summoning roots and stabbing with stakes, and you just
truly a horrific death you led your men to.
I didn't lead them here. It was We were hungry. We had to eat.
You have a responsibility. That is the burden of your title, is it not?
Yes, that is the burden of which I bear. And I am not proud that I had, but you don't live out here. You haven't seen the things that I have seen, all for the betterment of you who dwell behind the walls. We risk our lives every single day just by being out here to bring you your precious books, your trinkets, your scrolls, all in the hopes that you'll be able to fight back whatever this abomination of a hell our world has become.
No, Captain. They risked their lives. You hid.
Then maybe I should be dead too.
Maybe.
And he just kind of turns, right? And he goes and he looks at one of the, at one of the various corpses that are there, and just kind of looks and is just.
Flint's gonna move to stop him. No. If anything, you should go back. You should face justice or whatever kind of punishment. Whatever kind of punishment that stands for you hiding in coward and explaining your story.
We can't abandon this. We can't abandon this outpost, though.
There's nothing left of this. There's nothing left of this outpost. It's completely gone.
It would be safer to return, explain your story, and get reinforcements to repopulate this. A single soul cannot hold down the outpost. And he looks at Roth and goes, I don't believe that our mission is to hold down the outpost or to aid in it. So since we aren't going to do that, and you can't do that by yourself, return and get aid. Return and tell the story so that it can be captured, and perhaps they'll show mercy and allow you to stay within the walls and send somebody else out in your stead.
Mercy. The city's not going to give mercy to our great captain.
Can I insight the captain and see if there's anything that he might be hiding?
Sure. Yeah.
I'll go ahead and Flint's going to help, so go ahead and do that with advantage.
Oh, yay. Ulrika, Nat 20.
Oh my. All right.
Thank you. That first roll was a 5.
Yeah. For sure. All right. So what you get out of him, right, is he doesn't want to go back because he knows, right, what could happen to him. Like at the mention of him going back, he has this look in his eye. He actually literally looks over to Rolf. And when he does, he has that feeling, that essence of, I don't want to happen to me what happened to him. And he just goes, no, I will stay. I will stand my post, even if I am the only one here.
I'm so sorry that we gave you the impression that this was up for negotiations.
You're just a cleric. I don't answer to you. I answer to the council.
We all answer to what I serve.
Who are you? I need everybody to make a perception check.
Okay.
That's a 19.
15?
Yeah,
all right.
15 plus 5. 19, baby.
13.
Okay.
8, because back to being good.
Right as he says who are you? All of the corpses scattered about start to jolt. Their skin rapidly becomes bark.
Mm.
And they start to stand as these tree-like entities and let out
Oh crap!
a slightly smaller version of that elkish bark, bellow. And that's where we're going to wrap it up for today. So next time we're going to start off with a little bit of wah. So there's that. But at this time, I want to thank everybody who stuck with us for the premiere of the Champions of Eclypsia, as we have made our way out to the outpost of Rotwood, where strange things are happening and a little bit more of a taste of the world of Eclypsia as it stands for now. That being said, I want to go around the horn. I want everybody to tell us a little bit more about themselves, how today went for them, and shout outs, plugs, what have you. And know what? And we'll go in reverse order. We'll go in reverse order. So, Joshua, what did you think today, bud?
I love today. Fantastic first time. For those who don't know me, I'm Joshua Rao, J Rao Tech on Twitter. I stream on Twitch under the handle Gintu Penguin. And so follow me there. Usually I'm playing Phasmophobia or occasionally some Jackbox games, but I like horror games. It's fun. So come hang out, follow, and we try to have a good time.
All right. Any other things you got going on? Any other shows or anything like that you want to throw out there or plug or what have you?
Not right at this second. Okay. I don't have anything I can talk about today.
Okay, fair enough. That means there's mystery about, folks. All right, Jay.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jay. I go by Neofet3 on the socials. Thank you so much. This is an awesome way to start off with the let's go. What happened? Mystery, death. Hey, let's have it. This was great. Thank you so much for asking me to join you. I am excited to continue with this story. I am also a Star Wars GM as well as a player or GM with various other games that are out there. You can follow me on Twitter as Neofet3. I also, the Emporium for the Wayward Gamer. I run a Saltmarsh game, as well as we'll be starting in January or March. That's got all those in order. We'll be starting season 2 of Shadowport Adventures, which is the Star Wars mini campaign over at Mini Terrain Domain. But follow me on the socials. All that stuff is being promoted at that. And thank you so much, Kurt, and everyone here for having this.
This is so awesome. Al, throw them plugs.
Yes. My name is Al. I write fiction. I've written a couple D&D modules, 5e, that you can find on DM's Guild through the Storytelling Collective. Right now I'm doing their Flash Fiction February, which is a free workshop. Write a Flash Fiction every day. You can find me on social media at Alice Writes. Today was fun. Found me a little bit of trying to get into this character too, but I think I'm finding my groove. Kurt, thank you for asking me to join. You've allowed me to officially knock something off my bucket list. So
there you go. That's what's up. Knocking things off the bucket list, man. I'm glad you're here. Ravenna, how'd it go today? How'd it go?
Oh, it's fantastic.
You brooding edgelord, you.
Oh, we haven't begun to brood yet, Kurt. Dear Kurt, sweet summer child, you have no idea. Anyways, I'm Ravenna. I play and run lots of different things. You can find me on Twitter at the Squishy Bear. I'm very well known for being on McStabber Studios. I'm usually in Call of Cthulhu at Saturdays. That is still ongoing, but I am not a part of this half of the Saturdays. Tuesdays, every other Tuesday on Ravenous Archon's Twitch channel, I play in a Werewolf Wild West game. And in March, I'm also going to be running season 2 of Werewolf the Apocalypse 20th Anniversary Edition, Phoenix's Call.
It's really good.
It's really good.
It's really good.
I'm all over the place. if you like all the art that you've seen so far, like all these little character art designs and whatnot, that's Brian Patterson at D20 Monkey. He has commissions open right now.
Yep.
If you want to commission him, and he's super fun to work with.
Yes, he is. He's awesome. He works really fast too, as I learned. Really fast. Insanely fast. Noir. Buddy.
Hello. Hey.
Buddy. Hey. How's it going? How's it going, you spooky bastard, you?
It's going. Basically, I just wanted to play a spooky cop, and that's all I'm doing with this.
I mean, you kind of, yeah, like that's very much a,
and I hate to say too, that's kind of where I keep leaning toward Flint, especially with the investigator background. So it's like you might have a creepy buddy cop.
Wow, buddy cops. We're gonna have buddy cops.
We just gotta get in a firefight. That's all that is.
Yeah, right.
Well, good thing I'm a dragonborn.
The first, the moment one of y'all says Gator needs his gat, but like that's gonna be it. Like I'm gonna be, it's just gonna kill me right then.
Who did that to you?
Yeah, right.
Hi everybody, I'm Noir. You can find me all over the internet as the Noir Enigma. That's Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. In just a couple of hours, you can find me over on the Stella Luna's channel, where I am going to be GMing the finale of our Urban Shadows game, Trouble in Second City. We've got an interesting group in there in trouble, so we're gonna see how that plays out. Tomorrow you can catch me not in front of the camera but behind the camera as the producer for Rivals of Waterdeep. They're back for their 11th season, and I'm super duper excited. I've got a bunch of other stuff going on. Check out my Twitter for that. But most importantly, I have a GoFundMe because I am moving to Canada and it's expensive to leave America in expat. So help me with that because it's getting scary here. But that is me. Yeah.
All right. And hi, I'm the DM. I'm Kurt. Covenant the Horrible Alchemist in some places, other places, just me. I'm the okayest DM you'll ever find.
Okayest DM. I will not stand for that shenanigans.
I'm the okayest
He is amazing.
DM. I'm the okayest.
He is amazing.
DM. Anyway.
At least slightly better than average, good sir. At least.
Yeah, so okayest doesn't work.
That's okayest. That's no, the est part. That's the est part. Anyway.
Higher.
That being said, you can find me anywhere under my name, pretty much. I was really lame. I never came up with something super cool other than Covenant the Horrible Alchemist. And why am I horrible? Because I don't know shit about chemistry. That being said, you can find me on my channel streaming sometimes. I keep trying to get my streaming schedule going, but it should be going better now here starting next week. And then you can, of course, find me here next week with these beautiful, wonderful people as we explore the champions of Eclypsia. This is my little homebrew world that I've spent the better part of the last 2.5, 3 years building. And I look forward to sharing it all with you. And hopefully we see you all here again next week. Other than that, have a good rest of your Saturday. It's Saturday night, so I bet most of y'all are going to be going to play D&D tonight. So hopefully this fuels your fire just a little bit more. And we will see you next week. I want to thank Gilding Light for giving us a spot to be able to play this game. Sirenscape, who is a sponsor for Gilding Light. And I want to thank our lovely behind the scenes guy, DC Lacer, who is the producer mod of the internet. And so that being said, we will see you all next week. I hope you all have a wonderful week and love each other. And most importantly, go support Black creators.
Yes.
End of story. Do it.
Good luck, Marooned.
Got a whole ass GoFundMe.
Yeah, whole ass GoFundMe.
Well,
whole ass GoFundMe.
There's the profanity. I'm sorry.
There it is. There it is. We get it at the end. We will see you guys and gals and others next time.
All right.
So that's it, y'all. We done. We outie.
Bye.
Bye.